Well, welcome to Aspen Chapel's podcast on this second Sunday of Advent. And today we're looking at the possibility of hope. Last week, we looked at the nature of earth, of paganism. We did the circle and we looked at how we've emerged from earth and we struggle with earth. This week, we look at the possibility of hope, the possibility of order, the arrival of God. And during the service, David Floria is going to be speaking. Now, David Floria went blind in the last 4 years and has an experience of darkness now. And he's going to be talking about the possibility of hope within that darkness. Good. Well, we are now on the second Sunday of Advent. I'm going to invite CP now to come up and also Jessica, who's going to be lighting the candles. And we shall pre-light this. So Jessica is on fire for lighting the candles. And CP, let me just get the microphone right for CP so she can actually speak into it. There we are now.
Now, be ye glad, good people, this time of all the year, and light ye up your candles, for the star it shineth clear. The first light of Advent, it is the light of stones, the light of shells and crystals, which dwell in earth's dark home.
Good.
The second light of Advent, it is the light of plants, plants that in the sunlight grow and in the breezes dance.
There we are. Good. Excellent. Well done, Jessica. Thank you, CP. That's brilliant. And thank you very much. We've lit 2 Advent candles now. And as I say, today is the second Sunday of Advent. Last week, in the first Sunday of Advent, who was here the last week, the first Sunday of Advent? Well, we had a huge the chairs were set up in a circular fashion. And there were stones and there were various bits and bobs. And we looked at the earthiness. We started right at the beginning on the creation, looking at the fact that we are part of the earth. We were thrown out at the Big Bang. The carbon atoms that made us up, made up the Big Bang, were thrown out, became planets, came to Earth, was cooled. Life then appeared. And we are the same carbon atoms were thrown out. Remember I said that poor old Barbara Owen was 16 billion years old, not looking a day over 14 billion years old. And we are all the same. We're all thrown out, and we are from the earth. And our first Sunday of Advent is really the struggle from earth. It is really the emergence of life in that first Sunday of Advent. The terrors, the fears, the worries, all that sort of stuff. And we move into the second Sunday of Advent. And the second Sunday of Advent, the big difference in the second Sunday of Advent is the arrival of the existence of other. And by that I mean, it's beyond from the struggling around with the earth and struggling around that, suddenly the dawning realization that there is the existence of order in the world, the possibility of order, the possibility that, as Einstein said, the universe could be a friendly place, the possibility, just to put it in straight religious language, the possibility that God exists, that there is a creating other. And in that second Sunday of Advent, in this Sunday, we look at the nature, we look at the fact that that existence starts to become apparent. And the reading we're going to be having is the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. That possibility that God does exist. And we look at the nature of our relationship with God, right at the beginning, once people realized that there was or created the possibility of there being a God, experienced it, how did they relate to it? We started with human sacrifices, animal sacrifices, all the way trying to placate that God. And the history of humanity has been a history of working out how to relate to God, working out what it is that we need to do. And the whole, in a sense, the history of Advent is the working out of our relationship with God. And in the Old Testament, it was a question of human sacrifice. Look at Jacob and you look at the Abraham and Isaac. Then animal sacrifice. I mentioned this before, but 90% of the economy of Jerusalem was animal slaughtering, penning, sacrifice, all about sacrifice. And right the way through the Old Testament, we have that. But it is the emergence of the possibility of light in darkness. And speaking to us today, David Floria is going to be speaking to us today about his experience of going blind, his experience of going into darkness. And the theme of today is the possibility of hope. Because when you're in that darkness, when you have no existence of God, nothing there, then suddenly the possibility that there is order is an amazing creation, an amazing thought. So today we're going to be looking at how that might manifest, how it might develop, and how we might see that light in darkness.
The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. For us, a child is born. To us, a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace, there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Thanks be to God.
You underestimate the power of the dark side. The Dark Ages. Batman, the Dark Knight. Africa, the Dark Continent. The Dark Lord. The Dark Madonna. Dark Energy. Dark Matter. The Dark Night of the Soul. I have been walking toward physical darkness now for about 30 years. And I've had struggles with darkness, emotional darkness, spiritual darkness, psychological darkness as well. But I realized, as Darth Vader would say, it is useless to resist the dark side. So I have embraced the dark side. I step off into the unknown, into the void, shoulder aside my fear, and move forward into it, accepting it. My practice I call blindfulness. Which is mindfulness on steroids. It's mindfulness, it's the X Games of mindfulness. It's actually a superpower. And it's essential for me to survive in the world, but it could be useful for all of us because it's about present moment awareness. Being aware of one's location, being aware of one's breath, breathing in, breathing out. Every time I leave my house to walk to the bus stop, I embark on an expedition. I have to pay attention to what I'm doing every minute. I listen to the sound of the dog barking in the neighbor's yard. I listen for the sound of the Canadian geese flying from the river headed south in the fall. I listen for the sound of the red-winged blackbirds in the marshy places where the cattails grow in the summer. I listen to the sound of the water gurgling in the irrigation ditch along the roadside. I feel the earth under my feet, with my shoes. I synchronize my walking with my breathing. I feel the ground with the tip of my cane, the gravel on the driveway, the rough pavement on the road, the dirt on the shoulder of the road, the weeds along the side of the road, the smooth concrete of the sidewalk, the curb. I walk along the curb with my feet, feeling the curb with my feet, and the sidewalk with my cane. I get to the bridge over the roaring of the roaring fork, feel the metal guardrail going across the bridge, tap that as I go across, stop on the bridge and listen to the wonderful sound of the water flowing underneath, smell the river. Shoreline along the curb on the sidewalk, the wooden fence. Then I get to that roaring steel river of death, Highway 82. Talk about fear. Highway 82. But I hit the button and wait for the cuckoo of the audio crosswalk signal. Wait a few seconds for people to run the red light, and then walk briskly across, waving my white cane in the air like this. Make sure everybody knows I can't see them. So it's very important to stay concentrated in the present moment for all of us, but especially for a blind person. If I lose my concentration, if somebody calls me on the cell phone while I'm doing this, if I get spaced out into the future, worried about something, if I get stuck in the past, regretting about something, I lose my concentration. I get off route. I get turned around. I get frustrated. I get angry. I get lost. It happens a lot. I could get hit by a car. It's dangerous. So staying in the present moment, for me, but for all of us, being aware of our breathing, where we are, our feet on the ground, is a really good thing. That's the practice. And hope, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, hope can be an obstacle to the path of awakening, to the path of awareness, to the path of being in the present moment. People who hope usually are feeling helpless. They feel like their present moment is unendurable, is a burden. So they get some relief by investing in the future with hope. But when you hope, you are taking your attention, your energy away from the present moment and putting it into the future. And the future is where the kingdom of God is. Sorry, did I say the future? The present is where the kingdom of God is, the kingdom of heaven. The pure land of the Buddha is in the present moment. And the future is made of the present moment. The present is the substance of which the future is made. So the best thing we can do, the only thing we can really do, is stay in the present moment. And then the future will take care of itself. You'll have a good future if you take good care of the present moment. So bring back your attention, your energy from the future, from hope, and put it in the present moment. The darkness that I travel through is illuminated by the love and the compassion of people I meet every day. Every time I leave my house, venture out into the void of darkness, loving, caring, compassionate people help me. They ask if they can help me cross the street. They stop their car and ask if they can give me a ride. They help me navigate between tables in a restaurant. Help me get to the men's room, whatever it may be. That's their inner light shining forth to me. And I'm so grateful for that, because that's the inner light that we're talking about. The light in the darkness is love, compassion, kindness. That's the Christ consciousness. That's the illumination in the darkness. And I'm so grateful for that. It's the gift. It's the gift of blindfulness for me. And I take it very seriously. I'm so grateful. Even if I don't really need a lot of help at that particular moment, I express my gratitude and I accept their offer of assistance, because I treasure those connections. And I'm not distracted anymore by judgments, by being judgmental. Looks, height, weight, race, clothing, social status means nothing to me. What comes through is that compassion and that love and their voice, the energy, the love in their voice, and a kind touch of the hand, a kind holding of my arm. That's the light, the inner light. And I take a few seconds and I make a deposit of that compassion and that love, a deposit in the bank account in my heart, the compassion account. I'm saving it up. Take a few seconds to install it in my heart. As Bruce Cockburn said, sometimes the best map cannot guide you because you can't see what's round the bend. Sometimes the road goes through dark places. Sometimes the darkness is your friend.